Hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or good night, wherever you're listening from. My name is Lisa, and this is Untitled, the podcast without a name. So, this podcast is not just about random stuff for my daily life, um, it's about the progress, the daily grind behind the podcast is about work, discipline, habits, routines, running, nutrition, and life hacks in general. What I can share with you, all these kind of things. And I'm not here to sell you anything. I won't sell you a product or a supplement or a training plan. I'm not here to tell you that there is one right way to do something and you have to do it this way. Or I'm not I'm not saying what I do is the right way to do it. I'm just here to share what I do and what I've learned and what actually works for me in real life on a day-to-day base. So yeah, um, this is a podcast nobody asked for. I know, and that's okay. I'm okay with that. I'm not a famous person. It- Really, nobody knows me. But I believe when you have something to share with people, when you have something you can give, you know, let's say record something you think or you know or you live by, it might motivate or inspire one single person. So take this single person and this person make a small positive change, in their daily life or their health. Honestly, that's reason enough for me to sit down and press record and step out of my comfort zone and do this. So let me be honest, talking to a microphone or my phone or my laptop without seeing anyone in front of me, it's pretty uncomfortable. It feels weird. And I've been doing these little things for the other podcast for a few weeks now. And what I can take from this is stepping out of my comfort zone. That's the point. That's how I grow. That's how I get better. That's how you get better. That's how you grow. By doing something you're uncomfortable with, or something what is really difficult for you. I mean, I'm just that kind of person. Standing still is not an option for me. That's just not me. And but let me say that first. So, um I'm German. English is not my first language. You hear an accent. I will use the wrong tense, wrong words. I will pronounce something completely wrong. That will happen too. Sometimes I will search for a word and still choose the wrong one. That will happen. I can guarantee you that I will make mistakes. But also, this is something, challenging for me because it's not my first language. So, why English and not German? I chose English because many people understand this language. And if there is just one person listening somewhere on this planet, I just have a feeling this person is probably not a German person. That's just the easy answer. You know? That's the easy answer. So thank you for your grace when I make mistakes when it comes to choosing words or describing anything. I That's probably something what happens naturally. I will move around and try to explain something in other words when I don't know what to say. So, yeah. This podcast doesn't have a name, and that's also something intentional. I think when you when you put a label on something, that can create expectations, and for someone it can mean something else, you know? So it's something subjective. Let me say it that way. And I think how I live and how I work, or all the things I do, I think I don't have to really put one label on it. You know, I think it's important that um they just need to exist. And more importantly, they need to be practiced. I'm convinced that they just need to be practiced. So, this is a place to talk about the things behind closed doors, you know, things that happen quietly when no one is watching. I mean, not just behind closed doors, also outside, but you know what I'm trying to say. So, I started running in summer 2023, and I am 41 years old. I'm a mom. I'm a runner. I teach yoga. I love the gym. I lift weights. And I live and train with a purpose and with goals. And there's usually not just one goal, but one goal at a time, especially when it comes to running. I think that just makes more sense. So right now, I'm training for a sub 3:30 marathon. This is my goal right now. And I have a schedule, I have routines, I have a lot of small things, and these small structures, um, they shape my days and even my nights, to be honest. Even my nights when I'm asleep. So nothing about this is crazy. Most of it is about many small things done consistently. And I want to be very, very clear about something. I am not a doctor. I'm not a scientist. I'm not here to sell you any method, or I don't have like a 5-step plan to learn something. What I'm doing is working hard, paying attention, and I do things intentionally and I do things consistently. And everything I do, how I move, how I plan, how I structure my days, how I recover, how I rest, how I sleep, yes, how I prepare myself in the evening, not just for my bedtime and my sleep, also for the next day. This is All of it is built around what actually works for me in real life, you know? And most of the time, what works is not just exciting. It's boring. And that's the point, you know? It's showing up, planning, structuring your time in a way that you can reduce distraction instead of creating it. It's paying attention to your body, and it's adjusting or adjusting without turning every small change into a problem, you know? So today is Sunday, and I just got up. I didn't set an alarm today. There are usually 2 days a week where I get 8 to 9 hours of sleep, and it's not every day. So on the other days, I set an alarm. I get up at 3 a.m. in the morning, right? But 2 days out of 7, I don't set an alarm, and Sunday is one of them. Friday is the other day because Friday is my rest day. So if I don't have an appointment or something important to do on a Sunday, Sunday is my long run day, and I let my body wake up when it's ready. So today I woke up at 5 something. It was 5 something. I got 8 hours and 30 minutes of sleep. And sleep is something I take seriously. I'm kind of a professional sleeper at this point. And that's not a lie. You know, I don't have to pretend to be a good sleeper. I really am. I am. So I started paying real attention um, to my sleeping habits or my bedtime routine since, let's say, 2018 or 19. And I kept adjusting this and optimizing through 2022 because um, 2021 was a year I was working hard. I had my full-time job, and I was teaching 5 yoga classes every week. So I felt burned out after 2021. Not really mentally, but physically, you know. So 2022 was the year when I changed a lot of things, and I stopped uh, teaching a lot of yoga classes. So since then, my sleep quality has been consistently good, amazing, actually. My sleep schedule is pretty much the same week to week. And I also want to say during the week, there is no difference for me on a weekend. And I know that's really hard for so many people. And it's not that you cannot have one day or one night when you just, let it slip. That's not a problem. It's a thing of consistency. So I've been tracking my sleep since 2024. And this really, I mean, I knew my sleep is really good. I already knew, but since I've been tracking my sleep, it's something I can actually see, you know. So, and what's interesting about my sleep score um, is higher. My sleep score is higher on, let's say, 5 or 6 hours of sleep than people around me get like 7 or 9 hours of sleep, you know? And that's not because I'm special or because I'm, I don't know, like It's just because my sleep is regular, because my body knows when it's supposed to rest, you know? So, and I don't make sacrifices. I mean, there is daily life, and sometimes life happens. And like I said, it's not about 1 day or 2 days during a month when you stay up longer. That's not the problem. But all of it and my sleep quality, that didn't happen by accident. It's really the result of years of small, smart decisions, going to bed when it would been easier to stay up or watch something, waking up at a similar time, protecting my sleep even when it wasn't convenient. That's what I've been doing for such a long time now. And this is what I mean when I talk about discipline, not forcing, and it's just consistency over time. And there's a lot of noise around discipline. Um, a lot of a lot of people say, well, it's about sacrifice and control. I don't see it that way, to be honest. Discipline for me isn't about control. I mean, control in a good way, but not control in a obsessive bad way. It's about care. It's about setting things up so future me doesn't have to rely on motivation, right? I'm an early bird. I get up at 3 a.m. in the morning. And I can tell you that's not always fun. I cannot rely on my motivation or how I feel every morning. That's not going to work. So motivation is unreliable. And the routines, I would say, be become something like a support system. So, this podcast is about that support system, about the work that happens when no one is watching, when progress is slow and when nothing exciting is happening. Because that's usually when people quit. You know, people have, I mean, not all of I don't want to say, but in general, people really have a problem being consistent. And in the beginning, there is a lot of excitement, to change something or to try something new. But there is a moment after the first excitement is gone, when no one is clapping for you, and when days maybe feel unproductive, or when you don't see results. You don't see results every day. You don't see changes every day. And I want to talk about the quiet, not sexy consistency behind all of it, and behind what I personally call success. I know success is not just about money. So, success for me is about how you live and how you feel and how sustainable your life actually is. I posted something recently um, on Strava, I think maybe Tuesday or Wednesday, I'm not sure. And it said, um, I said something like, consistency alone will never change your life. Consistency is the bare minimum. And that's maybe an unpopular opinion, but I don't care because I know what I'm talking about. So a lot of people are consistent, but a lot of people work really hard every single day, it's not just me and it's not just you. A lot of people working their asses off. But consistency is visible and it's easy to observe and it's easy to copy, but it's neutral, you know? And every success is built on consistency, but not everyone who stays consistent reaches their goal. So I do see and experience these things when it comes to running too, you know? Um, Consistency increases the output, but it doesn't guarantee you the outcome. And it's not just with running, it's in life, it's with so many things, you know. Consistency is really just a multiplier, and impact is the base. So consistency keeps you in the game, and impact decides whether the game is worth playing. So what I want to say is be consistent at the right thing, because being consistent at the wrong thing will not get you anywhere. And that's easy math, right? So the whole thing, it's not just glamorous, it's not always exciting, but I can tell you it works in the long run. And I live my life around this concept, you know, intentionally, not perfect, but intentionally. My days are structured not because I want control, but because I want freedom. So structure creates space, and it creates room for other things, you know. So you don't have to ask yourself a lot of questions when there is a routine and you do things over and over and over again consistently, you know? So it reduces decision fatigue because you don't have to ask yourself a lot of questions, you know? And this is when to train, when to work, you know, when to eat, when to drink, when to rest. It's just for all of it, you know. And of course, there is real life. Of course, you have short nights sometimes, you know. Um, but what I'm talking about is not just a theory, it's my own experience. And some of these things might resonate with you, and some of it might not, and that's fine. I'm not here to convince anyone, you know. This podcast is really it's not a system, or like I said before, I don't have any 5-step method, you know, I can give you. It's a record of practice, of showing up, of paying attention, of making small adjustments over time, and building a life that can actually be lived, you know. I don't know who's listening yet, and I don't know how far this will reach, but I know I will keep going. I will keep talking. I will keep showing up. And if you are out there doing your own quiet work in your own way, that's amazing. I talk to you soon.